devotee. Now we move ahead to the talk of this evening, and the talk will be given by Dr. Dilip Joag. I invite Dr. Dilip Joag and give his talk on the topic, Late Principal V.K. Joag, an outstanding Brahmo educationist. Over to Dr. Dilip Joag.
Thank you. I particularly chose this topic today because many of you, of course, know that late Principal V.K. Zug was a member of Pune Pratana Samaj. He was secretary and then a president, and for a long time he was associated with Pratana Samaj. And he was, of course, an educationist, an eminent educationist, and he had founded what is today called Modern Education Society, and his colleges like Wadia College, and in Bombay also there is a Ruparel College, New Law College, and so on. So he was a living example of Brahmo in my eyes, because I was a small kid when he passed away. I was in seventh standard, not very small, but still small. But I have seen him in the house, and after his demise, I learned from many people what he was. And if he passed on. Actually, he was born on 9th of March 1888, and he left this world on 31st of December 1963. So every 31st of December, his colleagues would come to our house and pay their respects. And at that time, we will have always, every 31st December, we will have Upasana, and then somebody will conduct the upasana. And in later years, I used to conduct that program and that upasana. And then from his colleagues, they who used to tell me and tell others how he acted, how he was on the college premises, in the society, and so on. Then I came to know from them many of the stories which I have included today. He was born in Sangli district of southern Maharashtra at Tasgaon. He was born in an affluent family. His family was running a PD, what we call today a financial company, and where their hundi, and what we call today as demand draft, was accepted and honored even in Karachi and Banaras. So that was the kind of a well-established PD. And even it is said that they were bankers to the Peshwas. So very affluent family. And unfortunately, he was born, his mother died on the ninth day. And of course, his father then remarried. But he also died when he was 1.5 year uh, uh, old. So, he lost both father and mother. But since he had married in between, um, uh, that mother, the widow mother, uh, he brought him up. And then actually, what happened that from the village Tasgaon, he was inspired to learn, to get education, while all other his cousins were engaged in the business. But he was more interested in education, and therefore he, along with his mother, they came to Pune, and then they lived in Pune, and he got his education, the school education, and the college education from Pune. Of course, he was in the famous college, Ferguson College, at that time, and then he cleared his BA examination. That was Bombay University at that time. That Pune University was yet to born. So he won the Ellis Prize for English. He had English as the main subject in BA, and in the university he won the prize. Then he completed his MA, that was in philosophy and logic. And then, as of course, a good student in front of several of his professors in Ferguson College, he was immediately absorbed as a professor in Ferguson College itself. Then he was very active. Of course, he was an excellent teacher, an outstanding teacher of his time. And then uh, and from 1917 up to 1931, everything went all right. He was taking initiative in many things. And of course, his duties as a teacher, he was performing. Then an incident occurred in the college. Uh, that is a firing on a British officer, Hodgson, by Mr. Gokte. And then, of course, he was only injured in that incident. But then there were two rifts in the professors. So one group wanted that we should not have such things on the campus, because these are the officers who are helping education. You know, all the British officers were not bad. Many of them were had great concern with the people of this land. So these are some of the people. And so he Principal Professor Zug and several others were of the opinion that we should not have these things on the, we should not encourage such incidences to happen any longer in the college. While the other, these were pro Gokhale, that was a group. At that time, they were called pro Gokhale, and they are softer people. And the other were hardliners, like they were pro Tilak. And therefore, pro Tilak group wanted, no, no, this is part of the life and this is going to happen. So there was a rift, first of all. Then during that time, a principal was to be appointed. And at that time, famous mathematician, Wrangler R.P. Paranjape, he was the chairman of the secretary. And for some work, he had gone to England at that time, about 1931, towards the end of 1931. And then principal, he was not principal at that time. So Professor V.K. Zog was considered as a candidate to become the principal of Ferguson College. But then the other group, pro-Tilak group, wanted Wrangler G.S. Mahajani to become the principal of the college. Then uh, what the other group did, they convened a governing council meeting, because all these professors were, of course, live members at that time. So they convened a meeting when R.P. Paranjape was not there. He had gone to England. And therefore, taking the advantage of the situation, the, the entire body who had was commanded by the Tilak group, they decided to expel four people from the college. That included Professor V.K. Zog, then Professor Bendale, then Professor Suru, and Professor Khaddi, and Professor Naik. So these five people, they were just expelled. They were all life members. You know what? Today, what people would have done is immediately go to High Court and bring a stay, and then continue the fight and so on. But these people, they accepted. Okay, all right, let us do something different. Then that was the end of 1931. The first thing they did is, of course, all of them were led by V.K. Zog, and he considered that there is no higher education institute in the eastern part of Pune, and it was quite away. At that time, it was far away, and therefore, to come to Ferguson College or other SP college was very difficult for students. When there were no facilities for commutation and so on. So, what he thought that we should open a college in the eastern part of Pune. But he was very systematic and methodic. So, what he did is he convened a meeting in the camp area, we call it the eastern part of Pune, of the citizens in that area, which included mostly they were Hindus, they were Muslims, they were Christians, and of course the Parsis. and they all attended, and some businessmen from that area. And the meeting was convened in the Kawaji Jahangir library, which is still there. And it was resolved that they really need a college in this area for their children to get higher education. And with that resolution, then he went to meet the vice chancellor of Bombay University. Of course, he knew him very well, and because at that time before uh, 1931, and even after and before, he was Professor Zog was always preparing the budget of Bombay University and presenting. He has a record 25 years in a row he had presented the budget. So he knew the university people, and as he was a Senate member. So in no time the society got approval, the Modern Education Society and the Wadia College, and it was then established in 1932. So that was to happen. So um, he already he had good contacts. He knew how to run an education institute, and you of course need money and how to raise money. And so he of course had earlier contact with Mr. Wadia from Bombay Dyeing Mills, and then one incident in for when he was in Ferguson College. The college required a big library, so they approached Wadias, and of course he knew some of them because he was working in Bombay University as a Senate member. So he was, of course, responsible in inviting Wadia, and then Wadia gave a donation, a big donation for the building of the library. Today, that library stands as by Cherbai Wadia Library. The story is that the money was over in building the building of the library, and there was no money left for furniture, and therefore the difficulty was to how to get it. So what the idea of Professor Zook was that he suggested that we should name the library by the name of Mr. Varia's mother. So college agreed to it, of course, and they named it Bhai Jerbai Wadia Library. And then when Wadia came for inauguration, they all invited him, and then he unveiled the plaque. And then as he saw the name of his mother, dear mother, then immediately inquired how much more money is required. So immediately he paid the rest of the money, and then all the furniture today, even today, that furniture exists in the by library. I also got my education, and Madam also got her education in Ferguson College. So the library proudly stands there. The point I want to make is that he had good contacts, and he knew how to convince those who have money to invest in an education institute. So immediately he approached Wadia again, and then uh, asked for money for in the eastern part of Pune and everything. And he at that time he Wadia paid 5 lakhs of rupees as a donation. So in that 5 lakhs, what was purchased was an 18-acre piece of land. Today, the Vadia College stands on it, but several institutes have accommodated. After that, there is an engineering college, there is a commerce college, there is a management institute, the hostels, the staff quarters, and everything now is accommodated on that 18 acres of land. So that was his vision of getting a land for an institute. 1931 December, this happened, where he was removed from Ferguson College. But the commitment of him and his other colleagues who were removed from college was to complete the courses they were conducting, because they thought that this has happened December end. Now the exams will come in March. So where will the students get a chance to learn? So we have to guide them, and we should take some lectures. So where to take the lectures? So it was none other place than Pune Prarthana Samaj, because he was already member. So in Prarthana Samaj, he and his colleague, they conducted all the remaining lectures of the respective courses they were taking in Ferguson College. And literally speaking, the students not only from Ferguson College, but from the neighboring SP College, they also attended all the lectures because these were excellent teachers and they liked their discourse. So uh, this story was told by one of his students, S.M. Joshi, who was a socialist party leader. Where some of the senior Brahmos, they will, of course, must have read his name somewhere. And of course, N.G. Gore. These two were socialist party leaders at that time, Praja Samajwadi Paksha and something like that. And then a great man, S.M. Joshi. So he had written this in the commemoration volume of Principal V.K. Joag. So from that, I'm telling you this story. So that was after his dismissal from Ferguson College. And then in July, Wadia College started. So there was hardly any time. So there was a place called Connaught Place near Pune railway station. So he hired the building there, and then the college was started. The first batch and the first student came for admission, and he says, uh, "I don't have money. What to do? What to do?" Now, Professor Zog had a problem that the first ever student of the college and how to waive off the fees. Because at that time, the colleges were not run by government grants, but they were run by from the fees. And what happened? He then took out money from his own pocket and then gave it to the student, asked him, go to the other professor and pay your amount. And whenever you get money, then you can give it to me. So that was, he had the compassion and he had practical ways of solving problems in an academic institution. So this was one of them. Another problem also, I will come later, how he handled it. So it was his love for the students, and later in the college, the Wadia College was the first to start what is known as Earn While Learn scheme. The students were paid some extra money to do small jobs in the college, like even sweeping or de-weeding the grass from the gymkhana and so on. So students were paid some amount of, and from that they used to pay the fees at the poor boys fund at that time and so on. So today this practice has become very common. Almost all colleges and almost all universities, and a lot of money is spent by the government. Government giving grants for earn while learn. But he was the father of earn while learn scheme out of his compassion for the poor students. In uh, in the college, of course, the first principal, people would, of course, expect that Professor Zog will be, because he was the main architect of the modern education society and Wadia College. So who else? But surprisingly, he suggested the name of Professor K.M. Khadde, who was senior by age by a couple of years to him. And then Khadde, he was quite senior, I think, yes. And then he requested Khadde to become the first principal of the college. Otherwise, anybody who today in today's world, nobody will leave this founding professor, founding principal. But he gave this chance to Professor Khadde. This is one example how he took care of his colleagues. He always referred to my colleagues and me. Any program, any presentation before the government officials or university committees, he would always say, my colleagues and I have done this, that, and so on. So always this language he used, my colleagues and me. So this is how in an institute which is growing, you have to take care of the faculty. And even in appointing the faculty, you have to collect good faculty. Because, Ursprung was a director of uh, ETH is a famous laboratory in Zurich. ETH Zurich it is known as. And that laboratory has produced like 60 Nobel laureates. And at a time in the lab, you could find 30, 40 Nobel laureates easily. So Ursprung was the director of that lab, and what he had said that every educationist in our country, they should remember that what he said, that an academic institution is known by the faculty, the quality of the faculty it keeps, and is able to retain that faculty. So it's not that you appoint a faculty, but faculty is really academically of very extraordinary quality. So some other university comes and take the faculty away. So that's also, you are able to appoint a good faculty, and you are able to retain the good faculty. So that is what he used to do. Of course, at that time, there was some freedom in the appointments. Today, there are so many restrictions and ways, methods, and laws and rules. It becomes you can't very easily select a person and get him. Now, so he always cared for good faculty, encouraged faculty to do research. See, at that time, doing research in college was not at all common. You teach in the colleges to MA, BA, BCom, BSc, and so on. But he encouraged research. So I remember Professor H.V. Modak from physics department. He encouraged him a lot, and then to set up an acoustic research laboratory. So very uncommon at that time. And to encourage him further, in 1951, there was a science congress. There's a big mela. It used to be big mela. So the science congress was held in Pune, and then part of it held in Ferguson College, but he went to Ferguson College out of the way and requested that at least some sessions be conducted in Wadia College so that the students are able to take part and attend. And that was approved. And a couple of sessions were arranged in Wadia College, and that included Nobel laureate like Bernal, J.D. Bernal. He had come. Those photographs are there with the college. So he was such a person that very open-minded, and wanted a real academic um, atmosphere to be established on Wadia College and every other college. Now, the money which was donated by Wadias was by Sir Khosrow Wadia, and he, of course, asked Zuruk to name the colleges in his father's name. So that is Nauroji Wadia College. So that was in Wadia College. Similarly, grants were obtained from Ruparel in Mumbai for the Ruparel College. So um, he used to convince people by his argument, by his presentation, and you could see from his face, you could read his face, how honest and how from the bottom of the heart he is speaking, and what kind of college and institute he wants to set up. So I'm sure they uh, paid such handsome money because of this conviction. You are observing his picture there. He had a very nice, very impressive personality, very fair, and with his blue eyes. People would mistake him for any British officer or foreign officer. And of course, in Pratana Samaj, he used a completely different attire. In Pratana Samaj, he was in black topi, and then Jodhpuri coat and dhoti. And at home, of course, he was in dhoti and his banyan. That's all. And uh, when he goes to college, he will be always in three-piece suit with his felt hat, and in later years, which is walking stick with him. Uh, yeah. Um, uh, as donation was given by Sir Khosrow Wadia, he wanted a bust of Sir Khosrow Wadia after after his death to be established there in front of the college immediately after a few years. So the bust, if you just go to the main gate, there is in front of you there is a bust of Kasturbadia. The point I want to make is, see today if you see any such statues or busts in the city, and at least Pune I have seen many. One statue near our house, when we drive nearby, we try to read something, then it is so much matter is written there, so many names. So the first name, see, the statue belongs to some Ram Bhau Kusalkar from that area. The first name that prominently you can see there is Sharad Pawar. So he had inaugurated. So his name appears at the top. Then all this we have made a mockery of all such things. But in that statue, I always give this example to students and children in our Pratna Samaj that written Sir Khasro Wadia, born, dead, and nothing then. And at the bottom, only two lines are there by Santa Tukaram. That जोडोनिया धन उत्तम व्यवहारे उदास विचारे वेच करी. Zodonia dhana, that means earning, earning, getting money by uttama vyavahare, by the best possible, that is righteous deeds, and udasa vichare vecha kari, selflessly you spend it, spending selflessly. So this is also written at the bottom. So that's all. No name of the principal, inauguration, nothing, nothing. Now if you, and also another thing that I see in the, what do you call it, the beautiful buildings, absolutely beautiful stone buildings are there. And if you go and see in the cornerstone of the building, it will say who was the contractor, how much money was spent, right? And name of the architect. So that's it. That's it. No name of the principal, society, blah, blah, blah. You know, this all this thing I think he acquired as a Brahmo, selflessly. In our shlokat we have Swarthana Ashastu Vairagyam. So what is Vairagya? See, he never retired from the college because he retired as principal, of course. Then he was appointed when the Pune University was formed. He was appointed on the first executive council of the university because of his work. And then he was given the responsibility to take charge of the estate of the university because it was earlier a governor house and that was handed over to Pune University. So all the property was to be taken charge of. So he was in charge of that committee. And of course, the today's logo that we have. So he was given the responsibility to get the logo. So he got it done from one of the students, and the student had made it. So many things are there. Now, while college, when the college was getting constructed and a lot of activities, administrative, how much running would be required, we know that. But he never missed a single lecture. Today, officially, the rule is something like that. If you have 2,000 students, then the principal is exempted from taking lectures. And he becomes only administrator. But at that time, he took all his lecture, never missed his lecture. Even when he was throughout, he was active and he was principal of the college. Now, in how he became to Pratana Samaj. So, in about 1907, 1908, at that time, he was living in our Budwarpet area, and the um, uh, Pratana Samaj was very near to that. So he attended some of the discourses of Dr. Professor R.G. Bhandarkar. Of course, Bhandarkar, a great scholar and a great Brahmo. So he was very much inspired by his thoughts by his lectures, by discussion with him, and then he decided to become a member of Brahma Pratana Samaj. So he quietly, he was of course idol worshipper at home by um, from his ancestors. So he collected all that stuff in a bag and he immersed it in our river Mocha. So and then never looked back. He was inside out. He was a Brahmo, and he was a living example of Brahmo. Now, whenever he was in Pune, because almost 2 3 days he used to be in Mumbai for Senate work and all that, and then to Pune. If on Sunday he's in Pune, you will find him in Pratana Samaj, and I know I have seen him many times. On Sunday, exactly 4:30, he will start his dhoti and long coat and kali topi, black hat, black topi, not hat, and then we'll go. And my grandmother, in her 9 year sari, she would walk faster, and then he would walk slower, slowly, and then they will get an auto, and then go to Samaj. And we used to go to Samaj sometimes with them, and then but we used to run in the hall outside, we were collecting the flowers and things like that. But he never said anything to and uh, he will perform kirtan, he will perform upasanas. Of course, we were not attentive at all at that time, but we will be running it between. And of course, kirtan we used to like, so we will sit for kirtan and then listen to kirtan, the songs and stories and so on. So, that kind of atmosphere was, and many about 100 people would be there in the Utsav, because Utsav will be usually in April after our school examinations. So we will attend all the programs in the Utsav. So uh, he was secretary after Dr. Bhandarkar uh, for several years, from 1926 to 32. Then, of course, there is a gap from 32 to 38 because we were very busy with the college affairs. So, again, 1938 to 40, he was secretary. Then he became president in 1941 till his death in 1963. And in the college, he will be called Papa Zoo. He was famous as Papa Zoo because he would care. He has a fatherly attitude to all these students, and he will care for them. As I told you, he was first to um, start the Earn While Learn scheme. About colleagues, he would try to attract good colleagues, academically excellent colleagues. So of course he was in Ferguson College earlier. So he used to invite some people from Ferguson College to join Vandia College, and then so Professor K.R. Kanitkar from physics and Dr. P.L. Vaidya as a great Sanskrit and Pali scholar, Dr. P.L. Vaidya. He was also in Ferguson College. But after establishing Vandia College, not before, after the college was established, P.L. Vaidya was invited to join Wadia College. He joined it. He produced a lot of material in Sanskrit grammar and in Buddhist uh, literature and so on, because he was expert in Pali, Ardhamagari, and Sanskrit, of course. So a great scholar of that time. He after retiring from Wadia College, that P.L. Vaidya, he was director of uh, institute for Sanskrit learning, which is Mithila Institute of Sanskrit at Darbhanga. He went to that place and did some fantastic research there, which was published by Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute. So, he wanted to attract good people, academically excellent people, and used to encourage research with them. Uh, he was a great visionary. I'll tell you, in 1958, as back as 1958, he opened an institute of technology. Now, see, to think of such an institute, even government institute was not established, polytechnics. It is before the polytechnic was uh, established, the Wadia College was the first to start the Institute of Technology. So everybody said, no, no, you only have to become. I said, I'm not qualified. I can't be. No, no, you have to become the first director of that institute. So he became the first director, established it for 1 year, and then handed over to the expert professors there. So today that institute is still there, and several people you will find in Pune and around who completed their diploma in electrical engineering or civil engineering and then serving in government jobs and all that. So, that was a vision. A person who was a BA and MA and then a principal of the college, he thinks of an institute of technology because he thought that technology only can make the country a real progress. A, uh, the GDP can go up, everything, all round progress. And here in Pratana Samaj, he used to plead that the Atmannati is required of every person so that the entire society really progresses and is spiritually uplifted. Then only we can see good progress of the nation. His uh, ideal was uh, and model for him was Justice Mahadev Govind Ranade. So he had written several articles on the religious the thoughts of Justice Ranade, and he was very fond of him and his literature. Uh, yeah, and then in Mumbai also, I told you earlier, we established Ruparel College and New Law College, which are still there. And even after he retired in 1958, he was working as a secretary of the society till the end, till his death on 31st of December. I remember the day before his death, 30th of December, I had come from my school and I would be there. And he was ill for about 15 days. And then all his children were together, had come there, and he was very ill. He had dilated heart and whatever problems were there. And then um I remember that evening of 30th of December, all Samaj members of Pune Prarthana Samaj had come to see him. And because he was quite serious. And he was, I remember, he was lying in an easy chair, and then he came. The people came to the room inside. So he opened his eyes, very freak he had become, and very frail he had become, and then opened his eyes and told them, and he uh, uh, joined his hands like that, and then just looked at them and told them that only one sentence he uttered, that Jot Teuti Theva. That means keep the torch burning. That's all. That's the only sentence he uttered at that time. So uh, that has made a great impression on me because I was a schoolboy. I was in seventh or eighth standard, and then he's saying that to the people of Pratana Samaj, and of course it was kept burning till today. So what I feel, because I was also in education field. I was working as a professor in the university. Then I don't have to look elsewhere as my model. My grandfather himself was my role model. And yeah, so and his personality as a Brahmo, you can see at all the incidences which I told you. You see how a Brahmo would act. He would act like that only. So we can define, many times we can define Brahmoism by looking at him, by looking at his deeds, and many such incidences people have been telling. Now, of course, you don't find many people who can uh, um, tell about his personality about his teaching. So every 31st of December, both of us we go to Area College. There is a bust. Yeah, this bust was given as a gift by all his students. So there is a students ex-students union of modern education society, uh, and the famous director Yaqub Saeed of Doordarshan. He was a chairman at that time, and so he said that we the students we would like to give a bronze bust. So that bust is standing in the college, and they gifted. So it was, I think, his second anniversary, death anniversary, and we were all invited there, and this bust was inaugurated. Now, in the bust also, it is only written because no other names are there, except that below the pedestal, there are two lines of William Shakespeare. So Shakespeare had said somewhere that um, uh, if you want to seek his monument, look around. So that line is written, inscribed. Then look around. So you go and see Varia College. That is his real monument. So uh, today also, after so many years, 63 years have passed after his death. Now, what has happened in the college? There are hardly any people who have seen him or who know about him. So they are very keen and eager to know from me some of the things which I told you today. And that I think uh, a person working in academics, working in education, how he must behave. I think Principal V.K. Zog was yeah, is the real role model for everyone working in education, because he would have easily been what we today we call, yeah, as a Shikshan Maharshi. But today we have many such Shikshan Maharshis in Pune. They have their own, it's
Mhm.
like ownership of their own institute and whatever goes on there. But uh, therefore, all those working in the field of education, higher education, they should learn from Principal Vishwanath Keshav. Thank you.